Hey, what do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Dan and I are excited to introduce our Buy Me a Coffee page. We've had a lot of listeners reach out and say, hey there, bub, we really appreciate what you do and want to support the show. Well, here's one way to do that without big corporations taking, 30% of the cut of your generosity. Just head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/BigBlueBanter and chip in if you'd like to support us directly. Every contribution means a lot, and it helps keep the show going strong. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and have a lovely day.
Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter, New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneier, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato. Today, we are up there tonight. At this point, it's dark. Freaking 5:24 these days, and it's dark. This is a disaster. It's been dark already for like a half hour. But tonight, we are going to be breaking down the Giants All-22 film on the defensive side of the ball. Oh boy. I mean, this is a nightmare film. This is like as bad as it got during some of the Judge era and all their past devastating times as a fan of this team. So I don't know, man, where do you want to start with this defensive film review?
First, I think we should start with something a little bit more broad. And this is something that was discerned by both of us, I'm sure, at least. I don't want to speak for you, but you have eyes watching this tape. And it's just that there are certain players on this team who give 110% effort all the time. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. I would throw Bobby Okereke into that. I think in this game, a guy like Dane Belton is a player like that. But there are just other guys on this team who seem a little bit more content with, they do their job sometimes, they're where they're supposed to be, and they're just not, again, this is kind of what we said on yesterday or 2 days ago's podcast, the post-game show. They don't make plays. They might be where they need to be, but there is no disengaging of blocks. There was no shedding blocks in a timely manner to actually make the play. They're just content executing their assignment. And I feel like this is the most, this is the best representation of that I've seen in a very long time covering the New York Giants. It's just, hey, I'm in my gap, but why don't you, shed the freaking block and then collapse the other gap and make a freaking play? The Giants just do not do that. They're allergic to it. And I'm not just talking about Tae Banks. He is patient zero when it comes to that, but there are a lot of other players on this. I think Dexter Lawrence is a player who can make more plays. Sure, he is double teamed. I get that. Sure, there were times where I felt like he made some plays here where he executed his gap assignment and he stayed put, and it was a good run stuff by Dexter Lawrence. But then there are other plays where the gap next to him is open, but he's just engaged in his block and he has his hips in his gap, but he doesn't collapse towards that other one. I feel like you could probably say this about most of the defensive linemen. And there are times where they do make plays. Like Nacho will come out and he'll make his play. And I think Nacho plays with a high level of energy. I just don't think he is a top level player by any stretch of the imagination. I think these linebackers, including Okereke, sometimes they're a little tentative to fill in front of them when there is a double team block climbing up towards them. Instead of waiting for that double team block to disengage, attack, dude. Like everything about this defense is tentative and questionable effort, kind of, really. And just like, can you actually disengage and make a play to put your defense into an advantageous situation? Or are you just content doing your job? Right. And the safeties can be thrown into this as well. Not Dane Belton. I do think Dane Belton was a guy flying around the field, making a bunch of tackles. But I think Dane Belton I don't think he's somebody you really want starting for you. I think we've been pretty clear on how we view Dane Belton. And I also don't really think there's a ton of, accountability on this defense as well, outside of Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. Like if I was a defensive player, man, I see Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau doing their thing as much as they've been doing their thing, Dan. And I got to be inspired by it. And I don't see a lot of the guys out there being as inspired as those two players. And I think those are the two leaders of this defense. And that brings me to Dex. Like Dexter Lawrence, I don't know if he's like this leader of the team that we all think that he is because of the play that he has shown. Like after the game, I get that he's frustrated with the whole Carl Banks situation, with the state of the team. But one of the first things he said is like, yeah, I'm playing fine out there. It's like, well, your defense just gave up another 30 freaking points, man. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of guys on this freaking roster who need to read the room. Dexter Lawrence being one of them, Graham Gano being another one. Like, don't even get me started on that. Graham Gano was snippy with the media after he's like, well, I made all my other kicks. Like, you missed the kick that counted. We don't care if you made all your other kicks. Like he has to be aware of his perception among the fan base. Why would you be all defensive in that? be like Jude McAtamney and take some self-accountability. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, it's frustrating, dude. And then you have Shane Bowen. Shane Bowen is just a guy who is in way too far over his head, right? Way too far over his head, does not put these guys into the best position. But the players aren't executing within the shitty, uncreative defense that he is employing too. So it's a collective failure. I feel so bad for Brian Burns. I feel very bad for Kayvon Thibodeau. And I feel bad for Bobby Okereke and some of the other players that we mentioned. But just overall, Dan, and I want to get your take on this little rant that I'm going on right now. I just like, this is just a massive failure. And then I didn't even get started on the Dru Phillips situation. I'm throwing a lot at you. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just like, I look at a guy like Dexter Lawrence and I'm like, do you actually have like true leadership traits? Because I think like Brian Burns has true leadership traits. I just don't know. I think he is a fun, affable type of individual who is an excellent elite football player. But like, I don't know if he's like out there actually like being this guy who like rallies a lot, because like the Giants have sucked for so like basically since he's been here. And I don't really see him like take that into his soul as much, right? Like a guy like Brian Burns, who arrived last year, he definitely does. Dan and I are excited to talk about the Big Blue Banter group chat we've got going on with Chat BCC, the group chat platform where you can interact with fans and hosts of your favorite podcasts. We've been using Chat BCC to talk to our listeners about the hottest topics in football and just to kind of shoot the breeze about whatever's on our mind. Every day, one of us is in that chat giving our thoughts and hearing from listeners on their takes on what's going on in football, what's going on with the New York Giants. It's a lot of fun. If you want to come crash our group chat, it's as easy as sending a text. Head to BigBlueBanter.chat in any URL, enter your number, and start chatting with us and the Big Blue Banter faithful.
I think you're right. And I think, I think, Brian Burns, for example, he's leading through example with his play on the field.
100%.
But he's also leading through example with the way he handles his situations in the media, right? Like you hear him, oh no, he comes right out and he says, no, I wasn't blaming Shane Bowen for the drop 8, rush 3, drop 8 against the Broncos. I was, mad that we weren't able to make the play while we were dropping 8. Even if he doesn't believe that, even if that's not true, it's the right thing to say. It's a very different mindset than the one Lawrence has. I don't really look into that as much as I do just the play on the field, right? Like Brian Burns plays with his hair on fire every snap of every
he's
game.
Making plays in pursuit as a linebacker.
As a linebacker. He'll tip a play up and then Carter will intercept a pass. And you'll see then he's devastated on the sideline when they, run a series of just terrible play calls in my mind and then a missed chip shot field goal. And he's on the sideline devastated because he is busting his ass. Dexter Lawrence doesn't look devastated over what's going on, and that's okay. Like he's been here longer, and my worry is this will happen with Burns too if we don't right this ship fast enough, because it is probably tough playing. Like I see it with the Jets and their player, these perennial loser teams. It does eat on you, I'm sure, as a player, but it doesn't matter. Like that's no excuse for Lawrence or any of these players to not be playing, like you said, with their hair on fire. And we went over that play last night, and I've talked about it with a few different people, and it's like, I get it. He's executing his assignment, Dexter Lawrence, but he's also not busting his ass to make a play or even just to show that you're like trying to be this difference maker on the field, which he's not right now.
And we'll go over that play, and I have a lot to say about that play. We're talking about the Brian Robinson 18-yard touchdown run where Tae Banks.
It's much worse on Banks, obviously. Yeah,
obviously. And look, Tae Banks, we're giving him a lot of shit for not talking to the media, but he was undressed on that play, and that's why he was undressed when he walked out with his pants around his ankles to not talk in front of the media. Which, when I heard that, I thought it was a Wes Steinberg thing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's actually not. Like, he actually did that. Like, but again, like Tae Banks, he's an immature player. He's not a football player. He's an athlete who plays cornerback. Frankly. And that when you have a guy like that out there, this is exactly what happens. And we've seen it time and time again. I don't need to beat this dead horse of Tae Banks being a bad football player. I think everybody who listens to this podcast is well aware of that at this point. But I look at it, man, you have these issues with the secondary. You have all of these injuries. And I'm so glad Dan Duggan asked Brian Dable this yesterday, whenever you guys are listening to this. Dru Phillips played 19 snaps. You kept Dru Phillips in the nickel role, even when you knew you were going to face 21 personnel. They faced 21 personnel 50% of the times. They faced 22 personnel 15% of the times. They faced 12 personnel 9% of the time. They faced 11 personnel 26% of the times. And those were the 19 snaps where Dru Phillips was out there. And Dru Phillips is one of your best run defending secondary pieces. And he's not inept in coverage. He's not good in coverage, but guess what? He's just as good as basically anybody else on this roster who's healthy at the moment. Maybe Tae Banks is a little bit better in coverage, but Tae Banks, he's blind. He just has a magnet to the hips of the wide receiver, but he's absolutely blind when the football comes to him, right? So you don't put it into your game plan to maybe play Dru Phillips a little bit on the outside, try him out instead of rolling Corey Black and Tae Banks out there. And then the other guy whose name I don't even remember, you only keep him in the nickel personnel package. That seems like a little bit of a mistake, right? Like, am I crazy to think that? I know he's made a lot of mistakes this year, but this is a physical run team. And one of the best plays the Giants defense made was Dru Phillips was pushing Christian McCaffrey for a 4-yard loss out of bounds on an outside run, something the Giants couldn't stop. So you just don't put him out there. Like, it just seems like
it's inside the box thinking. Yeah, it's very inside the box thinking from Shane Bowen. It's, I'm going to match the personnel with our personnel. So in 11, I'm going to put a nickel. When we're not in 11, I'm not going to put him. But the reality is, like, I trust Dru Phillips. It sounds stupid, but if they just lined up Dru Phillips at linebacker, I somewhat might trust him more than Darius Muasau, to be quite frank, and some players like that we have on the field. And that's not to say they're not professional players. They played the linebacker position their whole lives, or some of them in college. But, like, Dru Phillips attacks downhill, dude. Dru Phillips plays with aggression. Dru Phillips might make a play or two that these guys aren't going to make. And it's not just like put him at where, I'm not trying to say put him where Darius Muasau is lined up, but there are other ways to get creative and get Dru Phillips on the field as an alley defender, where you can then change your defense and make his and emphasize where he's going to be and put him in a good spot to make a play in the backfield.
Yeah, there's that. Or you could just start him outside cornerback. Like, he
could do that too, yeah.
And then when you are in 11 personnel, you can slide him into nickel. Like, we've seen other teams do that. That's not a completely foreign thing for an NFL player to handle. And the Giants like, no, we trust him. So this guy who's a starter who showed a lot of promise last year and is having a down year, plays 19 snaps, but we're going to dress somebody who was on the Jets practice squad 5 minutes ago, and we're going to play him 51s. Like, it just doesn't, it seems dumb. It seems very stupid. It feels like you're overthinking it a little bit, Giants coaching staff. And guess what? You're overthinking things. That's a big problem, because any of the thoughts that you're having, they're not working against the NFL level competition that you're going against, especially defensively, as you surrender 30 points for the third straight freaking game.
Yeah, 105 points in the last 9 quarters is insane.
You knew this was going to be the approach by this team. You knew they were going to be heavy. The Giants had 7-man boxes like 41% of the time. They were in base personnel 69% of the time. You think you'd want to get your best football players out there. We use injuries as an excuse to excuse how poor this defense is, but yet we're not going to be creative at all to get some of our better players out there. Like, it's just dumb.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I mean, like, it's like, and again, and I know Carl Banks was harping on this, like, the defensive ardor, man, it's just not there. Like, do these guys want it? Like, that's like, I watched this all 22. I question that. And it's like, it's just an effort thing. Like, I don't want to get into the minutia with that or the semantics, but I do watch the tape and I see Brian Robinson and Christian McCaffrey running past guys who are blocked, and they're not disengaging from the blocks. And I'm just like, how much do you want? How deflated are you? Is this Deflategate Tom Brady deflation, or is this a basketball with no air in it whatsoever, does not bounce type of deflation? Because it's starting to trend towards that.
Yeah, dude, you're right. It's very frustrating. I can see why you're getting all frustrated, and I totally support you in this, but it is what it is. Like, I've been through this so many times, Nick. I've been through this before. I've seen defenses deflated like this for the Giants at the end of seasons. And I just kind of know the cycle of this when you get to 2-6 and 2-7. I'm not excusing it by any means. Let me be clear on that. But I'm also just saying I'm not expecting much change in that regard.
You're not getting any change from a personnel or from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, Brian Dable confirmed today. I mean, they're not going to move on from Shane Bowen, and it's easier said than done. I think a lot of fans are, how could you not do it? How could you not fire him? There's not, what are you going to do? Like, who's calling plays for the defense then? We don't really have much experience on our staff.
This whole coaching staff is in over their heads at this moment. They're drowning. I think the last
besides the offensive coach, the offensive coaching staff's okay, but the other side is just way over their head.
Oh yeah, they're toast. And Brian Dable himself is drowning. I think he understands the reality of what's probably going to happen at the end of the year. Firing a coach, and that just adds a whole nother thing onto his plate. Could it spark something? Maybe. I'd be hard pressed to think that these players are saying the right things in front of the cameras, but I'm sure they're pretty freaking pissed that this is their defensive coordinator. This is their situation. And it's not all on the defense. It is on the players as well. It's a collective, a collective failure. It's no one taking the necessary steps forward off of the positive momentum they built in the rookie seasons, a la Phillips, who we were just talking about getting him on the field, and guys like Tyler Nubin as well. Even the good players like Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, they'll have one play where they're not perfect, and that will lead to another big gain on the ground. Like, a lot of them, this is the crack toss plays. It's just a wide receiver blocking down on KT or blocking down on Brian Burns and allowing the tackle to go. But there's no one who can like overcome if the edge doesn't like do his job. There's really no one else who can actually be in the position to make the play because there's just no playmakers on this team. I think there's people with the potential to be playmakers, but they're not making the plays. And that's a problem. That's a massive problem. And I think that's what we've seen over the last, 10 quarters since the fourth quarter against the Broncos.
Yeah, it broke them mentally, it seems like. And that's part of the game that we'll never be able to quantify, even from watching the tape. Like, what level of effort are you giving on every individual play? Because there is a bar. It's a spectrum. Like, these are human beings. Anyone who's played a competitive sport, especially anyone who's played football before, knows this. Any team sport, really. Like, I've played plenty of team sports. I'm not every play. I'm not at 100% effort level, right? There's some plays where I'm more. And when somebody pisses me off in a team sport or something like that, especially basketball, I'm going harder. Like, I'm mentally even more engaged.
Thing. I love
it. Yeah,
dude.
of course. Like, I use that as a slight and it helps motivate me. But like, this team's not pissed off right now, right? Like, this defense isn't playing pissed off at all at any point in any game. But I do think a point that was made by Carl Banks I think today or maybe this morning that I thought was good not good that I wanted to address a little bit was like, he's right. Like, he's putting a lot of the blame on the players and less on Shane Bowen. And that's been his MO. And I get his point of view. Like, I understand what he's saying. He's like, Shane Bowen's put together a scheme that these players need to execute in. But our point is not that. Our point is that this is not a good scheme. Our point is that, like, I know what he's trying to do and trying to accomplish, Shane Bowen, but this is not working. And yeah, maybe it's because the players aren't playing well with it. So try something different. Or are you capable of trying anything different?
That's what it is. I don't think he is a wise enough defensive coordinator to be flexible.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a lot of bandwidth as a defensive coordinator. It's, I have this is what I do. Right. I do this as a little bit of an adjustment. And that's really it. Like in this game too, man, there wasn't a lot of twists. I mean, they didn't really have a lot of opportunity. No. This game was
against Mac Jones, not a quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. This game was, we're going to line in base personnel a lot. And there was a lot of 5-man fronts. They're trying to gap themselves out. They were attempting to stop the run against heavier personnel. But defensively, when it is a passing situation, there's not a lot to challenge or disguise. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the same shit we've been saying all season. Yeah. The same stuff we said last year about this defensive coordinator. He is not a good defense right now.
And Carl is a player. Like, he has a player's perspective that you and I won't have. And I do understand it. I don't think it's as crazy as some fans think. Like, how could you be defending this? Because I know I get his idea behind it. It's just, at some point, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, we tried to run this defense, which, by the way, is very outdated anyway. Like, no one's running this shit anymore. It's like very like Pete Carroll-esque era of defense that like has been phased out of the NFL because it doesn't work in a lot of ways. And it's just like, at some point, do something different.
Yeah, look, I think Carl's completely correct with what he is saying. And what we are saying is just like, the defensive coordinators, he can have a plan and the players have to execute within that plan. Right. And that's on the players to execute within that plan. But I still think there is a conversation that has a lot of merit that says, well, maybe this defensive coordinator could devise a plan that is going to maximize these players even more, rather than this being kind of a vanilla plan of, hey, we're gapped out here. We're going to do this against the run. We're going to do this against the pass. And it's rather predictable. And it lacks a lot of flavor. Like that's like, this is, Shane Bowen is a steak that you put on the grill and you don't marinate it. You don't put any seasoning on it at all. You just cook that thing on the grill. You cook it way too much. It comes out. There's no juicy. You cut into it. It's like a hockey puck. That's what Shane Bowen is as a defensive coordinator.
And the problem is, like, Carl, and I'm sure he would agree with this. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Carl, but like, if you're expecting effort and interest and enthusiasm from this defense, but you're running vanilla shit, how are you going to get that? You want to know how you get these players enthused and energetic? Create chaos. Do different things. Mix it up. Take chances and create chaos for the opposing quarterback. And then maybe you're going to get an energized defense, right? That's going to play not so robotic. That's the problem. This Giants defense, like you said, is in a lot of ways playing a very robotic style of football. And that's because it's a reflection on Shane Bowen. And that's not good. Like, I don't care that they're not executing it right, as Carl would say, and a lot of people would probably agree with, like, football players, or that they're missing tackles, or doing all these things wrong. Like, true, they are, but also they're playing in a defense that's not energizing them, and that's a problem.
100%. And look, dude, anybody who's played sports, as we brought up a little bit earlier, you look for your, like, when things are down, right? When things are not going your way, you look for leadership to uplift and to inspire and to change things at a certain level, to change things up, to revitalize you, to remotivate you. And at this point, like, this coordinator, I think it's more just like, I need to ensure that everything is checks out from a gap sound standpoint
Right.
and from a zone coverage standpoint. And we got to run a lot of man coverage too, because it's simpler. And we got to make sure everything is cohesive from that perspective, rather than, hey, how can I change things up to a point to maybe gain an advantage against the offense that I'm going against? I don't think this coordinator has that within him. It's much more just, this is what we're going to do, and hopefully we execute upon it. And I think the Giants are just a deflated team right now, where you have certain players who are going 100%. And then other players who it seems like, just by the tape, who are content doing their assignment and not really doing that much more.
And that's what it all boils down to. And that's why, us on our end versus Carl on his end, we'll never see eye to eye on this, because we don't believe in this idea of, like, just you run your scheme, the players have to play your scheme better. We want different game plans for different quarterbacks. That's how you win in the NFL. The Giants blitzed Mac Jones 3 times yesterday, just 3 times. Mac Jones showed up in the injury report with 2 knee injuries. He's really banged up. He has basically no mobility. He didn't scramble at all in this game. Basically didn't have to move, but also didn't move in this game. And then your game plan against a quarterback like that is to blitz 3 times the entire game. He was pressured, according to Nick Wagoner, on just 5 of his 28 dropbacks. That was the second lowest percentage for him this entire season. And he was 17 of 22, 187, and 2 TDs when he was not under duress and not under pressure. And according to Wagoner, the Niners are 4-0 when he's pressured on 25% or fewer dropbacks. Meanwhile, he has the lowest passer rating in the NFL when he is pressured. So shouldn't your whole game plan revolve around that? The idea that, 1, Mac Jones is playing hurt with 2 knee injuries, has no mobility. 2, by the numbers, it's very clear that he's a much better quarterback when he's not pressured than when he's pressured. Shouldn't your whole game plan be, we need to find ways to pressure this quarterback? And even if it means sending extra players and having issues on the back end with our backup players, we need to focus on one most important thing: pressuring this quarterback, blitzing him early and often, having a surprise game plan, which, the 49ers certainly wouldn't see it coming. We haven't run it all year, where we're just blitzing, pressure. And yeah, you may get burned, but you may not, because this quarterback has sucked under pressure all year and he can't move.
Yeah, so I disagree with I don't think Carl and us really disagree all that often. I think we're talking about 2 separate things.
Yeah, agreed. But
yeah, like again, like, he's right that, yeah, these players need to execute within, because they're not executing, right? Like, the players are not executing. And then we're, I think, outside of that conversation, in a more broad conversation, saying, yes, you are correct, but at the same time, this defensive coordinator is just not doing anything to change the approach that will allow maybe get through to these players in a different way, or to alter what the offense is going to do. Because every offense knows, as Spencer Rattler said, and as the tape really substantiates, what the Giants are going to do defensively, because they lack imagination. And that's just, I think, an indictment, a serious indictment on the defensive coordinator here, who is in way over his head. But again, man, the players,
everyone knew what the Seattle Seahawks were doing when they were the Legion of Boom. They were a dominant defense, right? Every defense, but it worked. You want to know why? They had elite talent to make that work. That shit doesn't cut it for the Giants. The Giants don't, even when fully healthy, they weren't an elite talent defense.
And the Giants also, they're scared to, they need to stop the run, right? And they just cannot fit outside runs, and it's outside. It's every type of outside.
That goes
run.
more to, like, what Carl is saying from a player standpoint, which is totally fair. But it's not just, it's like, you just, man, that to me, it just stands out so much with the Mac Jones thing. This dude can't move. He's so injured, and this was your game plan for him: 3 total blitzes against a player like that. It makes no sense from a chess standpoint. It makes no sense from any of the fun of football standpoint, of the X's and O's. Like, what do I want to do to stop a specific player? Like, how do I want to coach to face a certain player? They didn't coach this game to face Mac Jones. They coached this game to try and stop the 49ers run game. And that was their number one, plan for the game, which didn't even work anyway. Like, despite that.
Yeah, man. I just, like, it's wild, because I'll watch the Giants offense. So I'm watching the opposing team's defense, and I see how those players rally to the football.
Yeah.
It's different. It's just different than what the Giants do right now. Like this team is, it's
And that speaks to what Carl's saying. Like that's on the players.
yes,
No matter
yes.
what, even
That's
if you don't
why
like playing in this defense and it's boring and it's the same shit over, you still have to play with
you're
a
a
better effort.
professional. You have a
Yeah.
job. You have a
Yeah,
job to do.
for sure.
Execute your assignment, and just don't even just execute your assignment. Do more than execute your assignment. Make a freaking play. They just don't do that, dude. This team does not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought Kayvon had a few good contained plays against pulling
Yes.
tight ends. He lit up a couple of them. He had one, I think, bad play, one or two bad plays where he was pinned inside and allowed that outside run to take effect on the linebackers and then the Malley defenders. And Phillips wasn't there to help out with the outside contain for whatever reason. And and I do want to see more from Dexter Lawrence too. I don't think it was terrible. It's not like he's a bad football player. He's just, again, to go back to it, not making plays, man. He's just not really, he's there where he needs to be.
He was once dominant, and now
he was once dominant. And like, that's why I like people like are criticizing Carl's comments on him. And you could say maybe he should have handled it a different way. Sure. Whatever. I mean, I'm not him though. If he wanted to do it, like, he's right. Like people like, I don't know if people aren't respecting him as much. I don't know if I'd phrase it that way, but it's like, you are not the same player that you were. Like, come on now. Are we really going to sit here and act like Dexter Lawrence is playing the same type of football that he played over the last 2 seasons? Absolutely not. And he has better players around him right now.
Right. So there's no excuse to exactly. He should be in a better position.
And dude, he was still like, when he got one-on-ones, he backed the center up towards Mac Jones, but he didn't, shed and make the sacks. I don't want to make it like he's a terrible football player. It's just, we know that you're better than this and you're not playing up to that.
There are so many reps we put on tape over the last 3 years we put on Twitter that we cut up, Nick, that you could just go back and look at right now of Dexter Lawrence, and he doesn't look like that on tape this year.
Dude, when's the last time I even posted a rep of Dexter Lawrence?
Good point. We don't.
I used to do it all the time.
Yeah, it was every week for a while. Now it's none in a full season so far, a half season. So it's odd. I think he's hurt. He didn't admit it, and he says he's not hurt. It's no issue. I think he's hurt, man. It just makes no sense to have a drop off of this level.
He might be right. You might be right. I mean, he's still 27 years old. He's still young, So we can get into plays though if you want.
Yeah, let's do some plays.
All righty. Let's get into some plays. So first we have this first quarter, 9:41. This is the 3rd and 7. So this was a play that we brought up on the post-game show. This is Banks losing a slant. He is the number 2 at the top of your screen. You have an empty formation from the New York Giants. Giants align. You got that man coverage look, predictable in 3rd and short. Juwan Jennings just does a good job undercutting Deonte Banks. And Deonte Banks is in good coverage, but Deonte Banks can't make the play because he's Deonte Banks. And here you see shades inside, rides the hip, catch is made, and then he holds Juwan Jennings up. And then they end up going for it on the 4th down, and they end up getting it, and they end up scoring the touchdown. But this is how close it was, right? It's just first 3rd and 7, though, that the Giants faced was this play. Tight coverage, but Banks is, he's him. And now we're going to have a 2nd and 12. This is the Banks almost interception. Again, this is man coverage. Tyler Nubin, I question the angle here. Like, Tyler Nubin was so good with this. He's in the middle of the field, closed safety. Again, man coverage on a 2nd and 12. And you can see him read right now. He's reading Mac Jones. He's turning his hips. But Juwan Jennings' route, or Bourne's route, whoever that is, it goes underneath Nubin, and Nubin kind of over pursues it and stays on top. And if you look at Banks coverage, it looks like it's this trail technique. And I was questioning that, but like Nubin doesn't flow over the top initially, right? It's just the receiver wins to the outside, and then Banks attaches himself to the hip and does a good job doing that. And then Nubin reacts once Mac Jones reacted, and looks like Banks got his hands on the football, but can't make the play.
Yeah, I'm glad you put this up there because we can run it back real quick if you want to. I just want to talk about it. I put it down in our queue because I want to talk about this play. This is the one that stood out the most to me of any play on defense all game. And I think back to, I don't know if you'll remember this, but a long time ago, 3-4 years ago, there was a rep, Xavier McKinney from the deep half middle field close against the Cowboys, where he closed from an insane width using his instincts and using his manipulation of the angles on the football field and how to attack angles as a safety. He almost intercepted a pass by Dak Prescott that he had no business intercepting. Compare it to this play, where it's almost the total opposite, where it's like, not only does this safety have business intercepting this play, this should be an interception, man. Like, this is fucking bad. Like, this angle sucks.
And it's funny, you're saying that, and we're not even talking about the guy who got his hands on the football. We're talking about the other.
Oh, no. This is on Nubin, man. Like, I'll say this, like, the play I was referencing with McKinney, he's playing from a high post position, like as the middle field close. Nubin's not even playing from depth here, really. Like, should be a very, very easy angle to close on from Mac Jones. Mac Jones is not a velocity thrower whatsoever. But look at how poor of an angle Nubin takes the ball. I don't really even understand what happened here. Like, this should be like he's licking his chops. He's reading Mac Jones, and he's jumping this for an interception. It's a game-changing play. If he picks this off, he may have an alley to take it to a house. We don't know that. It's hard to say if he just jumps this route and gets in front of it.
Something tells me Tyler Nubin's not doing that, but you're right.
Maybe not. But at minimum, it's 2nd and 12. He changes the whole feel of the game. I think it was 7-0 Giants. This is the first drive, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So now it's 7-0 Giants. We intercept the pass. We probably get back to at least the 50 or in scoring position. We might have a chance to make it 10-0, 14-0, change the entire flow of the game, the entire feel of the game, the energy the defense is going to play with, all those things. It may not happen that way. We still may get beat up on defense, but you just have to make these plays, dude. This, to me, I don't even understand the angle he takes here and what happened here.
Yeah, I think he just misjudged it, which, if I had $1 every time we said that, right? Misjudging an angle, but yeah, it's
supposed to be this is his best opportunity. He's going to get all game to make an interception, and it's like, to me, it's served on a silver platter in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and
it's a bad decision by Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, because Tae Banks looks like, it's like a trail type of technique. The rest of the coverage makes me question if that's the case, but he's on that inside hip, right? For an inside breaking route, that's a good position for Tae Banks to be in, and he has safety help towards that side, right? So it was a good reframing by Tae Banks to put himself right in a phase. Tae Banks gets his hand on that football, but I don't know what the hell Nubin's doing he's just not sure of the depth of where that route was actually going. And he flows over the top and then slips and falls. Just a terrible, look, I don't know if you could have a worse year than what Tyler Nubin has had in his second season. And he showed promise last year. He showed promise. He
showed promise, but it's just like, I don't know what to make of this. This is an unexpected bad play. We watched his tape at Minnesota, dude. He was making plays.
Again, man, it's a position thing. It's a spatial awareness thing. Because if you watch it, he's not clouding over top, right? This is just a middle of field close safety against man coverage. Because you can see, look, the backpedal, and he's handling the vertical that is running at him from that number 2 receiver. And then he's reading through the vertical to Mac Jones. That's good awareness, right? That's good awareness by Tyler Nubin there. And then he opens his hips and he flows over the top and he keeps his eyes on Mac Jones and he sees the football, but he just doesn't understand the relationship of his current position to where that dig route is going.
Right.
And that's why
that's a problem. That's the stuff that McKinney was so good at, man. And even Julian Love was better in my mind at this. He wasn't great at it, but he was better. And then this, this is just crazy. Mac Jones is not a drive thrower. It's a bad decision by Mac Jones. It should have been intercepted or at least PBU'd at the very least by Tyler Nubin.
Yeah, man. And now here we have
just had him in 3rd and 12, by the way, which would have changed the whole, trajectory of the game.
Now we have the crack toss for 16 yards with 6:24 left. Same drive. Look, you have a wide receiver kicking out.
I love this design by Kyle Shanahan to put U-section motion there.
Oh, that's hilarious to get you to say that name.
Yeah, I don't know how to say his name. I don't care.
Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk, Harvard grad. Yeah, they get him in motion to the boundary too, right? And they're just going to block down on K-bomb. And look, dude, Raheem Nunez-Roches, he gets thrown down by the tackle, and the guard just traps him, falls on top of him, and then Darius Muasau tries to undercut.
I don't know why he's trying to undercut there.
He tries to undercut the tackle, and look, this is like the predicament Bobby Okereke is in. He tries to undercut. Now Bobby Okereke needs to flow over the top.
All the way over the top.
A center.
Or it's on Tae Banks.
Well, Tae Banks is going to do what Tae Banks does. And again, this is guys, this is a great play by Tae Banks because he kept him on the inside. He was where he needed to be. But as you can see, he's never going to make the play. He's just going to get blocked out of the frame. But at least he forced it back inside so Dane Elton could run all the way from the other side of the field to make the tackle. It's like, what the hell, guys? This is just terrible. And KT is going to learn from this too. KT, he gets this free release and then he sees the pitch and then
that's tough for him. Yeah.
He's got to be physical with these. This is the 3rd game in a row where he's done this. The Broncos did this to him a few times. Last week we saw the Eagles do this to him. So I hope the next wide receiver who tries to do this, Kayvon Thibodeau literally just
blows him up. Yeah.
Just blows him up. Just make him pay. Hurt him. Do something, dude, because you can't allow this to happen so consistently, especially a player as good as Kayvon Thibodeau.
True.
Now here's the McCaffrey touchdown, and you know what? A lot of people, I saw a lot of people complaining oh, this is a rub route.
Nope. This is a great design and it's legal.
It is a great design and it's legal. I do wish, though, and I'm not saying that those people are correct because this is fair. I do wish that those wide receivers actually, at least sold it a little bit more, because they all literally just went straight up like Dennis Rodman pick formation. Like, watch them. They're all just like, they're not running any routes whatsoever. No one's turning
They're
back.
not,
And
but they're
looking
also
at the
not like
football.
putting their hands out or extending it to block.
I would like it to be a little bit more, this is theatrical, but I would like it to be a little bit more sold. Like, oh yeah,
As long as they're not extending to block and they're just kind of moving, I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I
would
think
like
it's
to
just
see
a
a little bit
good,
more
really
spelling.
good design. Like and we do this all the time too. Dable has these natural picks that he creates, and we're getting yardage off of it.
Yeah, no, of course.
We should just steal this
I'm not
play.
saying it from
No,
that
I know you're not saying that.
perspective. I'm saying just like if you watch Juwan Jennings, Kyle Juszczyk, and Kendrick Bourne, not one of them are even acting like they're running a route. They all just go into and they all just set picks. Like usually, like I've seen the NFL call stuff like this before, and not that I'm saying that it should have been called because it's man coverage. It gets a great concept and it's easy. But wide receivers, it's not like I'm not out of line to say this. Wide receivers usually have to sell that they're running a route at least. They can't run 5 yards down the field and then just set a pick.
I don't really. I'm
not saying it's a penalty. I'm just saying like.
Yeah, maybe I'm seeing it wrong. I don't see him really setting the pick there though. Like the one guy.
Juwan Jennings literally just does it. But now you could argue that
Deonte he runs into the defender. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the pick though. I'm not saying it's a penalty and that it should have been called. I'm not saying that it was a penalty or it should have been called. But usually teams and offenses actually have to like look like they're running routes when they create these rub and these mesh concepts. I'm not saying it was a penalty. They just deliberately were like, no, this is what we're doing, and I'm just going to run into your defenders. And it was something on tape where I was like, sell it a little bit more. I'm not saying it was the Giants getting screwed over.
Yeah, no, I know that's not what you're saying. Obviously, I don't know. I don't see it the same way you do. I just think they're he runs into the defender there. Like that's not a pick that defenders in. He perfectly does this, so the defender is going to be in the way. Like the defender's actually running into him, Okereke there, trying to get to the flat to cover McCaffrey, as he obviously.
This was the design play though, like Kyle Shanahan.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the only place this is going. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's my overall point. It's like the NFL has taken measures to mitigate stuff like this, and this is like pretty deliberate that that's exactly what's going on. But again, I'm not saying it should have been a penalty. I just want it to be sold a little bit better because you can even see the second guy. I don't know if that's Kittle, whatever white tight end that is, runs directly into Flanagan Fowles. You have Jennings run directly into Bobby Okereke. And it's like none of them are even pretending like the football could even come to them. It's definitely going to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Because it was, man coverage because the Giants, of course, are going to run man coverage at a 3rd and short. And now here's a 2nd and 7. Brian Robinson Jr., 16-yard rush, tight front. Giants in their 5-man front. They were in it a lot in this game. And that pre-snap motion, as you'll see from Kyle Juszczyk, I love that, dude. Just whip him around, get the Giants to step inside. They didn't really bite on it too much. But now Brian Burns set to contain, again, against a wide receiver. So you're eliminating edges with these wide receiver crack toss plays, man. Like we can't allow that. Forces to the inside. Okereke overflows, gets blocked out of the play. You have Tae Banks. He's Tae Banks. He's on the outside containing, but like he doesn't understand how to restrict space or do any of that. And then the defensive flow. Look, you have like Dexter Lawrence who just misses getting off the block, and Ryan Robinson runs right past him, and then Tyler Nubin just gets run over for a 16-yard gain. It's just like,
and that's another problem
here. Who wants it here?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's another problem with some of these outside plays, these crack toss and stuff. If you go back to that play, like you don't even have to show it again. We can just discuss it. It's like we don't get a lot of situations where the D linemen are coming down the line of scrimmage and then making the play when they have forced it back inside. Like it's not a bad effort by Dexter. It's not the effort that we saw at once though, where he's screaming downhill to make a play on this or any of these defensive linemen. We don't have a lot of those plays where they come off their blocks, go laterally, and then make a huge play.
Think about the defensive approach from the Giants. Like the Giants used a lot of tight here. So when you're tight, you have 3 big physical defensive linemen inside the tackle box. And what was the plan by the 49ers? Well, the plan by the 49ers is a wise plan. We're going to use a wide receiver to block the edge, and then we're going to just block everybody else down. And I'm going to get like 2 or 3 blockers up to the second level. And then you have like Okereke and Flanagan Fowles and Muasau and Tyler Nubin and Dane Belton having to evade a blocker while trying to track down Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson Jr. Like, look, you have like 71. He's like, oh, I got a free release. You have the backside linebacker gets picked up, and then like Dane Belton's like, oh, shit, I got to flow over top of this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then you have Tyler Nubin goes down into the alley, stops his feet like he always does, and then just he gets run over. Like,
yeah.
Tries to frame up though, at least, And then here's a sack, though, by Nacho. We'll go over that. 9-yard loss on a 2nd and 8. Nacho, look, the guard expected inside help, but Dexter Lawrence was getting double teamed, didn't receive it. Nacho finishes with a sack. Kayvon might have gotten there. I'm not sure. I think 71 does a solid job riding him around the edge, but Kayvon ended up closing and might even pick up a half sack there. But then on the next play, Dan, the Giants are playing so far off. Like, look, you're at midfield. This is realistic field goal range, and the Giants are like 10 yards off, and they just give up this little.
They're just giving it to him.
They're just giving it to him, and then of course their kicker makes the 54-yard. Like these are the little things that we're talking about.
Play aggressive on this 3rd and 17. Don't look at it like 3rd and 17. Look at it like I don't want to cede any yards, so they have to punt the football.
Yes, I want to punt. Let's force them to punt the football. Instead, no, they get in a field goal range and they actually convert their field goal. Oh man. And here's the interception. Like, just a great individual effort by Brian Burns, man. Brian Burns just beats around the edge, gets his hand on the football. Abdul Carter, great job high pointing it.
Yeah, athletic play by Carter.
Yeah, and dude, if you look, dude, this play might have been a long touchdown to Christian McCaffrey because it was an isolation man coverage, running back fade against Bobby Okereke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If he has time, that's probably a touchdown.
Yeah, it's probably a touchdown. And there's a middle of the field closed safety. Wow. The other defender buzzed down.
Wow, McCaffrey on that route.
No, man, it's
not Okereke's fault. This is just McCaffrey being the best running back like ever. That is just sick, that route.
I know. And the Giants got lucky because they have a good football player.
That was phenomenal to watch McCaffrey run that route. He is so smooth.
Yeah, man. It's wild. And
it's right there. You just see it.
Oh, he
gone.
Knew it.
See ya. You're done. He freezes you with these little stutter steps, and then Bobby Okereke is from a planted position, never going to be able to restart his momentum and catch that.
No, that's
not that really any linebacker can, by the way, but it's this a touchdown. You're right.
Yeah, and that's a great play. And Burns, look, and this is why Burns is so devastated too. Like he said, man, I made it. Defense stood up. Offense did your job. Offense did not do their job. Offense gained 0 yards and missed a field goal. And then the kicker has the audacity after the game to be like, "Oh, I made all my kicks before. I don't really." Do you think anybody wants to hear that from you right now? Come on, please read the room. What the hell are we doing? All right.
There's so much cap invested in Gano and Gillen, and yet they're both terrible at their jobs. Like other teams are like employing guys like, the 49ers signed Eddie Pinheiro out of the street for nothing. And now Eddie Pinheiro is making a 54-yarder against the Giants. Great. You don't even have to use cap space on that. We are just signing all this cap space and dead cap and to these bad players at this point. That's what they are. Gano and Gillen are bad players at their position, respectively.
It's just I don't even want to talk about special teams. It's just so frustrating. Like the Giants cannot figure out special. They had like 2 or 3 games earlier this season where we're like, "Yo, Michael Gabriel, what's going on?" And then they surrender like a 40-yard return in this game.
Right. It's gotten worse progressively. The return.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I mean, well, also you put a guy like Art Green, who is one of your core special teamers, on IR to make roster spots for. Let's see, Jalen Hyatt and Evan freaking Neal. Why are those guys taking up roster spots right now? So you can add Ray McLeod that's from the practice squad, but so you can add players to your roster to fill out this lack of depth that you have. Like there's no reason to have Evan Neal dressed. There's no reason to have Jalen Hyatt dressed. You don't want these guys to play. So what are we doing, Dan?
I don't know.
Like operationally, the Giants are such a shit show, dude. And they can't play football.
All right. It's all true.
All right. 1st and 10. This is the Dru Phillips. Like, look, hey, they came out on 11 personnel on a 1st and 10. Dru Phillips get some show. And look, it's the crack toss again. You have Juwan Jennings blocked down on Kayvon Thibodeau and the kick out block. I feel like Corey Black, who, say what you want about Corey Black, he gives effort. And that's so much more than a player like Tae Banks can give. He's not going to be in position all the time, but Corey Black was out there trying to make tackles and was physical. So I'll applaud him for that. But Dru Phillips fills the alley right here and tackles Christian McCaffrey through a stiff arm for a 4-yard loss. Just an excellent play by Dru Phillips. Maybe they should have got him on the field more often. I don't know.
Yeah.
And now here's 1st and 10. This is another crack toss with Kyle Juszczyk. And this is just the play by Nacho. And I brought it up on the last. This is a good read by Nacho. And Nacho celebrated, and all the older people and even me, like I was just like, why are you celebrating? We're getting our asses kicked. We suck. But like, look at the play by Nacho. He does a good job here. Just again, read the room, baby. It's like the Giants are just, their situational awareness with the celebrations and the comments. It's as poor as their football awareness on the football field sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be. I feel like I'm being a real testy prick in this one, but I'm fed up with this kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
The celebration, wow, but it was a good play. I'll give him that.
I wish I had the same level of frustration and anger that you have. I'm just more despondent at this point.
Yeah. Well,
just to be honest.
Yeah, I could tell.
No.
Here is, I mean, I'm frustrated, but we've covered this team for so long.
We've covered it for so long.
You know what I mean? Of course, this is a way for us to, I think, point out the flaws in an entertaining fashion, while attempting to be cathartic about, attempting to find catharsis in a terrible situation that it's my job to cover. So,
right.
And I'm having fun doing this, as depressing as it is. Here's
I don't mean it like that. I mean despondent just about the team. Like,
it's
what my expectations are for what they should be and what they actually are.
Oh, I get it, man. And look, Darius Alexander here just blocked well out of the play.
He hasn't been getting many snaps lately, too.
No, he hasn't. And this was a game where he presumably would have, right?
Where we could use him, yeah.
Well, look, I think Roy Robertson Harris is a player who, he's not a perfect player, but he's one of the guys who's providing some hustle, right? But yeah, he gets blocked out of it. And then you have Burns coming all the way from the other side of the field to crash inside. And then Kayvon does a good job getting a block on the split zone, but he can't finish the play. And then that Tae Banks ends up getting a half tackle in there at the very end. And now here's the touchdown. Oh my gosh. Here's the touchdown run. Let's go over the touchdown run by Brian. Did I not have? No, I have the end zone. Yeah. Skipping a little bit, but look, man. Giants are a little late to fill. And Tae Banks shouldn't be Tae Banks' responsibility here. This is an inside run. This is hitting freaking A gap, dude. This is hitting the A gap, and Tae Banks is making the tackle, right? And like Dex. So with this play, Dan, this was a similar formation that the Giants faced against Saquon Barkley on that 65-yard touchdown on the second play of the game in Week 8. It was an overload towards one side, and then the Giants put Kayvon as basically like a six tech. This is over a wide receiver, but basically, essentially, he's just going to be a six tech on the backside with 3 down linemen. But the furthest lineman to the weak side is Dexter Lawrence as a one technique. And we saw what happened when Darius Muasau couldn't fill. Now, Flanagan fouls here. Look, you see that double team, you should probably get to your backside gap sooner than this. He's being tentative. It's one of my biggest critiques about the linebackers here is when these double teams are formed, they're just too slow to get to their assignment. And you can see that it allows for this easy climb. It doesn't. And then Dexter Lawrence, look, he has those one-on-one now. This is a pretty quick climb. And he just flows towards that weak bubble that we discussed on last week's show instead of shedding and collapsing to the inside. Now, I don't know if that was a coaching point by the coaching staff because the Giants could not fit to the weak side against this overload formation. That's what it seems like to me because Dex does not seem eager at all to really get off that block too much. So it might have just been like, hey, I got to execute this and the linebackers will do their thing. But the linebacker and the safety, they both have 2 players on them and then Okereke has somebody on them. So that leaves your worst player on your football team, Tae Banks, to try to tackle Brian Robinson. He gets undressed. Yeah,
it was really bad technique from Tae Banks there. Just everything about it, how just
unbalanced
he was.
Doesn't like contact.
It's crazy. Sometimes crazy watching other teams that are really good executing, like the 49ers, like just the climb to the second level, taking out 33 and 24. Like we never see plays like that from the Giants offensive line, man.
No, we don't. And you can see like KT gets pushed back a little bit on this one. That's a good block by that tackle.
This looks so in sync for them.
I know. It's like the positioning is excellent too. Like even the positioning on Darius Alexander, like that guard, like his ass is towards where Brian Robinson is going. There's no way Alexander is getting around that to make that play.
Exactly.
And if I don't know if Dex was told, hey, flow laterally to collapse that B. I'm not sure. It looks like he probably doesn't even know where the running back is here, but he's just getting blocked laterally. And you can see the just C's part, dude. Like, look at this. You have like a perfect box of 5 Giants defenders. This is crazy. Watch on YouTube. There is a perfect box of 5 Giants defenders around Brian Robinson. And there's just one guy who's not on a block, and that's Tae Banks.
Yeah.
And even like a guy like Tyler Nubin up at the second level, the backside blockers are making the plays.
I know.
Like, I want to cover a team like this, dude. This is just good football.
Shanahan
man.
drills. I've heard about it too. Like, he really drills the run game a lot in training camp and in practices. It's a big focus of his, more than most coaches, if not any coaches. And he's always kind of said, like, if you're going to play receiver for this team, you have to block, or you just won't play for me. I'll trade you, or you won't be part of the team.
That was the
You
Brandon
see it,
Ayuk thing.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and that's not going to happen for every team. It's obviously not happening for the Giants.
No. And you can see the execute, like, it just seemed like the blocking, they
Yeah.
were so much like a play speed thing, right? Not even athletic thing. It's a play speed. They're just
Right.
quicker to the point.
Yep.
And I think Carl was tweeting about this. Like, they want it more. Like, who wants
Yep.
it on this defense? It doesn't, like, other than Burns and Thibodeau and like guys like Belton and some of these guys like Corey Black, who is earning like professional snaps for the first time. He's playing his heart out, but he's not, the best player. There's a lot of these other guys are just out there. They're just out there going about the business because this is a 2-7 team on a sinking ship, and they're fully aware of that, and they're quite used to it. But, we're going to have a new regime come in here, and that new regime is going to study this tape, and they're going to see what kind of heart you have. And I don't know if Joe Shane will be a part of that regime. I do not know. But if he is or if he isn't, like, you gotta suit up, man, like, for every freaking play. And the Giants defense just has not done that. Now, there are players, obviously, who do, but collectively, this has been an embarrassment.
It really has been. All right, we can give some superlatives out for the game. Unheralded player for you on tape?
Yeah, I went with I wanted to go with Dane Belton, but he had a bunch of missed tackles too, even though he had a bunch of tackles. So I went with Roy Robertson Harris. There's a couple plays in the run game, but still, I think it's I should go with Dru Phillips because he barely, but I'm just gonna go with Roy.
I just went with Corey Black. I like the effort he played with. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect game, but somebody who I'd put in there. It's not much to choose from. This defense wasn't very good. Highest effort player on film?
Dane
Belton. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Dane Belton, too. Yeah.
The
guy was flying around,
Yes, he played hard. Brian, your best player for me, I mean, we've done this. He's won it every week, I think, for me, except for 1 or 2 I gave to Kayvon. Other than that, it's been every week for Brian Burns, the best player on tape.
Same.
Yeah. And then for me, player I expected to see more from was Dex again. Yeah. I mean, especially after this week where you just hoped it would light a fire under him.
No, Dex is
going through a funk. Yeah.
That's one way to put it. Yeah. For sure.
Pass rush grade was the lowest I ever had it for me.
Yeah, at a 3.5.
3.2 for me. Just wasn't there. I mean, part of it is the Giants just don't blitz. Like, so it's
they were also facing a lot of rundowns, a lot of run formations. So like there is a part of the game script that leads into some of the critiques that we have of this coordinator for sure, and just the approach of the 49ers. They're a tough team to scheme against and to devise against. Yeah. It wasn't even like they were reinventing the wheel. Like, they did what we all expected. It's just the Giants couldn't stop it.
Yeah. Run defense grade 1 to 10.
I had a 4.2. I didn't think it was as bad as last week, but that's probably a little bit too high though too. It's just there were some impressive run stops.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
4.2 is probably too. I'm going to go with a 3.1.
Yeah, I had 3.1. So similar
really?
type. Yeah. First time we hit that, I think, in a while. But random numbers 1 through 10 with decimal points. But yeah, man, it's rough right now for the Giants. Obviously, we're back where we've been. I didn't think we'd get there. I thought this would be a different year after the Eagles win. It's just so odd that this team played 6-7 quarters between the Eagles win at home on Thursday, and then in that longer week, the mini bye, the first 3 quarters of that Broncos game, where they looked like a team that's going to be really competitive the rest of the year. And now we're like only a short period of time later saying this team is wholly uncompetitive probably for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think the Broncos fourth quarter just deflated everything. Like, dude, man, I remember thinking, I'm like, yo, the jump, and then it happened, and I was like, you know what, that was dumb of me to think. But even in this game, we picked them to win. I thought they would be able to. I thought they would be more energized. But look, they're pretty checked out. Yeah, they're done. They're toast. And this
they've been here before, and
this regime is done from the Brian Dable perspective. Hopefully, again, I don't like to say hopefully when it comes to people's jobs, but I don't think Joe Shane has done anything to retain his job, but he'll probably try to hang his hat on the Jackson Dart thing, which was actually Brian Dable's call, according to a lot of reports. I don't know exactly what is true, but it's going to be an exciting offseason once again for the New York Giants as they toil away in their own mediocrity. Just depressing.
It is, but we're here for it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting our show. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk to you soon.